The compass needle spun uselessly in Maya Chen's trembling hand as she stumbled through dense jungle undergrowth at 4:17 p.m. She'd been hiking for 9 hours straight, completely and utterly lost. Her water bottle had been empty for 3 hours. Her phone had died 6 hours ago. Her carefully planned solo trek through the Caribbean islands had turned into a nightmare when she'd veered off the marked trail to photograph a rare bird and somehow ended up completely disoriented in terrain that didn't match any of her maps. Just keep moving, she told herself, pushing through another wall of vegetation. You'll find a beach eventually. All islands have beaches. You just have to keep going. She was wrong about finding the beach quickly. What she found instead, after cresting a steep hill that left her gasping and dizzy from dehydration, was a massive estate that absolutely should not exist in the middle of nowhere. A sprawling modern compound stretched across a private cove, all glass and steel, an architectural impossibility. There were multiple buildings, a main house that looked like something from an architecture magazine, guest cottages, what appeared to be a helipad, and a private dock where a yacht was moored that probably cost more than Maya would earn in 10 lifetimes. This had to be private property, very private property, the kind that probably had armed security and no trespassing signs and wealthy owners who didn't appreciate random hikers stumbling onto their island paradise. But Maya was beyond caring about social niceties. She needed water. She needed help. She needed to not die of dehydration in the Caribbean. She made her way down the hill toward the compound, her legs shaking with exhaustion. As she got closer, she could see that the main house was even more impressive up close. Floor-to-ceiling windows, an infinity pool that seemed to blend into the ocean, outdoor furniture that looked like art installations, and absolutely no signs of human life. Maya approached the main entrance, a massive door made of dark wood and frosted glass. She raised her hand to knock, then hesitated. What if nobody was home? What if they called the police? What if? The door swung open before she could finish the thought. A man stood in the doorway, and Maya's exhausted brain struggled to process what she was seeing. He was tall, maybe 6 feet 2 inches, with dark hair that was slightly too long and fell across his forehead in a way that suggested he couldn't be bothered with regular haircuts. His eyes were striking, pale blue against tan skin. He wore linen pants and nothing else, showing off a lean, muscular frame that suggested he spent a lot of time swimming or doing yoga or whatever rich people did to stay fit. He was beautiful in an almost aggressive way, like someone had designed a human specifically to make other humans forget how to speak. "Can I help you?" His voice was deep, with a slight accent Maya couldn't quite place. "British, maybe you're Australian." "Water," Maya croaked, her throat so dry the word barely came out. "Please, I'm lost. I need water." The man's expression shifted from mild curiosity to concern. He stepped aside immediately. "Come in. Sit down before you collapse." Maya stumbled into the house, and the man guided her to a massive couch that was somehow both modern and comfortable. He disappeared and returned 30 seconds later with a bottle of water and a glass filled with ice. "Drink slowly," he instructed, sitting on the coffee table across from her. "If you're dehydrated, drinking too fast will make you sick." Maya wanted to chug the entire bottle, but she forced herself to take small sips. The cold water on her parched throat was the most incredible thing she'd ever felt. The man watched her with those intense blue eyes, his expression unreadable. When she'd finished half the bottle, he asked, "How did you end up on my island?" "Your island?" Maya's brain was starting to function again. "This whole island is yours? All 200 acres of it?" His lips twitched into something that might have been a smile. "And you still haven't answered my question. How did you get here?" "I was hiking on Santa Rosa Island. At least, I thought I was on Santa Rosa. I was following the coastal trail, but I went off path to photograph a bird, and then I couldn't find my way back. I've been walking for hours. I thought all these islands were connected, but clearly I was wrong. Clearly." The man stood up and walked to a wall panel, pressing a button. A screen descended, showing a map of the Caribbean. He pointed to a small island northwest of the main chain. "This is where you are. My island. It's private, unlisted on most maps, and definitely not connected to Santa Rosa." "How'd I even get here then?" There's a narrow land bridge that appears at low tide between here and the eastern tip of Santa Rosa. The man studied her with renewed interest. You must have crossed it without realizing. It's overgrown and easy to miss. Once the tide comes in, it's completely submerged. When does the tide come in? You check his watch. About 3 hours ago. Maya's stomach dropped. So I'm stuck here. Until tomorrow morning when the land bridge reappears. Yes. The man's expression was neutral, but Maya caught something that looked like satisfaction in his eyes. I suppose you'll have to stay the night. I can't impose like that. I'll swim or something. You'll do no such thing. The currents around this island are deadly. People have drowned trying to swim from here to the main islands. His voice was firm, commanding. You'll stay here tonight. I have plenty of room. Maya wanted to argue, but exhaustion was catching up with her. Her legs felt like jelly, her head was pounding, and the thought of trying to navigate deadly currents in her current state was terrifying. Okay, Maya said quietly. Thank you. I'm Maya, by the way. Maya, Chun. The man extended his hand. Sebastian Hawthorne. The name hit Maya like a physical blow. Sebastian Hawthorne. As in Hawthorne Technologies. As in the billionaire tech genius who'd revolutionized artificial intelligence and then mysteriously disappeared from public life 5 years ago. As in one of the richest, most reclusive men in the world. You're Sebastian Hawthorne, Maya said stupidly. The Sebastian Hawthorne. Last time I checked, yes. Sebastian's expression was amused. I take it you've heard of me. Everyone's heard of you. You invented the Hawthorne algorithm that powers like half the internet. Then you just vanished. People think you're dead or in hiding or living on a secret island. Well, Sebastian gestured around the luxurious house. One of those theories is correct. Maya's journalist instincts were screaming at her. She'd been a tech reporter for 5 years before burning out and quitting to become a freelance travel writer. A real interview with Sebastian Hawthorne would be the story of the decade. But right now, she was a dehydrated hiker who'd stumbled onto his private island and was completely at his mercy. You look exhausted, Sebastian said, standing up. Let me show you to a guest room. You can shower, rest, and we'll have dinner later. I'll answer your questions then. You don't have to answer anything. I'm the one who trespassed. You're also clearly a journalist, based on the way your eyes lit up when you recognized me. Sebastian's smile was knowing. I'm willing to talk, but only if you agree to some ground rules. What kind of ground rules? Nothing you tell anyone about this island, its location, or how to access it. That's non-negotiable. Okay. Second, anything I tell you about my work or my life is off the record unless I explicitly say otherwise. Deal. And third, Sebastian's blue eyes locked onto hers with an intensity that made Maya's breath catch. You have to promise to tell me the truth about why you're really here. I told you. I got lost hiking. People don't just accidentally find this island, Maya. The land bridge is nearly impossible to spot unless you know exactly where to look. So, either you're the unluckiest hiker in history, or you came looking for me specifically. Maya's face burned. I swear I didn't know this island existed. I'm not here to expose you or write some tell-all article. I'm just a travel writer who took a wrong turn. Sebastian studied her for a long moment, then nodded. All right, I believe you. Come on, I'll show you to your room. The guest room was bigger than Maya's entire apartment back in Seattle. King-size bed with white linens, an in-soot bathroom with a rainfall shower and a soaking tub, floor-to-ceiling windows overlooking the ocean. It was the kind of luxury Maya had only ever seen in magazines. There are clothes in the closet, Sebastian said from the doorway. Previous guests left them. Find something that fits. Dinner is at 7. Don't be late. He left before Maya could ask who these previous guests were and why they'd left clothes behind. The shower was heaven. Maya stood under the hot water for 20 minutes, washing away the sweat and dirt and fear of the past 9 hours. When she finally emerged, wrapped in a towel that was softer than clouds, she found the closet full of women's clothing. Designer brands, various sizes, all carefully organized. It was strange, unsettling even, but Maya was too tired to overthink it. She found a simple sundress that fit reasonably well, ran her fingers through her wet hair, and checked the time. 6:45 p.m. She had 15 minutes to find a dining room. The house was a maze of hallways and open spaces that all looked vaguely similar. Maya wandered for 10 minutes before finding what had to be the dining area, an outdoor terrace overlooking the ocean, set with a table for two. Sebastian was already there, now wearing a white linen shirt and looking like he'd stepped out of a cologne advertisement. He'd opened a bottle of wine and was reading something on a tablet. "You found it," he said, looking up. "I was starting to think I need to send a search party. Your house is bigger than some hotels I've stayed in." Maya sat down across from him. "Do you live here alone?" "Mostly. I have a caretaker who comes twice a week to bring supplies and handle maintenance. Otherwise, it's just me." "That sounds lonely." "It's peaceful." Sebastian poured her a glass of wine. "After years of constant noise, constant demands, constant people wanting things from me, peace is exactly what I needed." "Is that why you disappeared? Too many people wanting things?" "That's part of it." Sebastian leaned back in his chair, studying her. "But mostly I left because I was tired of being Sebastian Hawthorne, tech genius, billionaire, the man who supposedly had all the answers. I wanted to be just Sebastian, a person, not a brand." "Do you miss it? The work, the innovation, the impact you were making?" "Sometimes. But then I remember what it cost me. The stress, the pressure, the complete lack of privacy." Sebastian's expression darkened. "The relationships that fell apart because everyone wanted something from me. Money, connections, access, fame. Nobody just wanted me." Maya took a sip of wine, considering her next words carefully. "That must have been incredibly isolating." "It was. Still is, in a different way." Sebastian met her eyes. "But at least here, I know I'm alone by choice, not because everyone around me has an ulterior motive." A woman emerged from inside the house, carrying plates of food. She was older, maybe in her 60s, with kind eyes and sun-weathered skin. "This is Rosa," Sebastian said. "She helps me out a few days a week." "Rosa, this is Maya. She's a lost hiker who'll be staying the night." "Lost hiker?" Rosa's expression was skeptical, but kind. "Sure she is." "Well, lost hiker, I hope you like grilled fish and mango salsa." "It's Sebastian's favorite." "It smells amazing," Maya said honestly. Rosa set down the plates and gave Sebastian a look that clearly said, "We'll talk about this later," then disappeared back into the house. "She thinks I'm lying about being lost," Maya said. "Rosa thinks everyone who shows up here is lying about something." Sebastian picked up his fork. "She's usually right." The food was incredible. Fresh fish, perfectly grilled, salsa that tasted like sunshine, rice cooked with coconut milk and lime. They ate in comfortable silence for a while, watching the sun set over the ocean in shades of orange and pink and purple. "Tell me about your family," Sebastian said suddenly. The question caught Maya off guard. "Why? Because I told you about mine? Or lack thereof?" "Fair is fair." Maya set down her fork. "My family is complicated. Most families are. My dad left when I was 5. My mom remarried when I was 8 to a man who already had 3 kids from his first marriage. So suddenly, I went from being an only child to being the youngest of 4 in a blended family that never quite blended. That sounds difficult. It was. My step-siblings resented me. My stepdad tried, but he was always comparing me to his biological kids. My mom was so focused on making the marriage work that I kind of got lost in the shuffle." Maya's voice was matter-of-fact, but Sebastian heard the pain underneath. "So, I learned to be invisible. Quiet, undemanding, easy to overlook. Is that why you became a writer? Easier to observe than participate?" Maya looked up, surprised. "That's actually really insightful. I'm good at reading people. It's a survival skill when you're constantly surrounded by people who want things from you." Sebastian's expression was thoughtful. "But I'm guessing there's more to your story than just being the forgotten child in a blended family." Maya took a long drink of wine, considering how much to share. "My mom died 2 years ago. Sudden heart attack. She was only 53. I'm sorry. The worst part was that we'd been fighting. About something stupid, I can't even remember what. And then she was just gone, and I never got to apologize. Never got to tell her that I understood why she'd prioritized her marriage, that I forgave her for making me feel invisible." Maya's eyes burned with tears she refused to let fall. "So now I travel, write about places instead of people, and try not to think about all the things I should have said." Sebastian was quiet for a moment. Then he said, My parents died when I was 16. Accident. I was supposed to be in the car with them, but I'd stayed late at school working on a coding project. If I'd just gone home on time, if I'd been there, maybe I could have done something. You can't think like that. I know. Took me years of therapy to accept that their death wasn't my fault. Sebastian's smile was sad. But knowing something intellectually and believing it emotionally are two different things. Yeah, Maya said softly. They are. They finished dinner as the last light faded from the sky. Sebastian stood and offered his hand. Walk with me? Maya took his hand, feeling a strange warmth where their skin connected. Not electricity like in some romance novel, but something real and grounding. Human connection after too long alone. They walked along the beach, waves lapping at their bare feet, stars beginning to appear overhead. The island was beautiful in a way that made Maya's chest ache. Pristine, untouched, perfect. How'd you find this place? Maya asked. I bought it 5 years ago when I decided to disappear. Sebastian's voice was contemplative. I wanted somewhere completely isolated, somewhere I could think without the constant noise of civilization. And has it worked? The isolation, the peace. Has it given you what you needed? Sebastian was quiet for a long moment. I thought it would. For the first year, it was exactly what I wanted. No demands, no expectations, no people. Just me and my work and the ocean. But humans aren't meant to live in complete isolation. We're social creatures, even the introverted ones. Sebastian stopped walking and turned to face her. I've been alone for 5 years, Maya. And in that time, I've accomplished incredible things. I've written algorithms that will change the world when I'm ready to release them. I've solved problems that stumped me for years. But I've also slowly gone a little bit insane. You don't seem insane. I talk to myself constantly. I've named all the birds that visit the island. I have entire conversations with Rosa about philosophy and quantum mechanics, even though she has no idea what I'm talking about. Sebastian's laugh was hollow. Last month, I threw a birthday party for my laptop. Maya couldn't help it. She laughed. A real laugh that burst out of her before she could stop it. You did not. I did. There was cake and everything. Rosa made it. She was very concerned. They both started laughing then, the kind of laughter that comes from releasing tension you didn't know you were holding. When it finally subsided, they were standing closer than before, still holding hands. I should probably head back, Maya said, though she made no move to leave. Early morning tomorrow if I want to catch the low tide. You could stay longer. Sebastian's voice was careful, neutral. The island is beautiful. I could show you around. There are hiking trails, snorkeling spots, a waterfall on the north side. I can't just impose on your hospitality. You're not imposing. I am inviting. Sebastian's blue eyes were intense. It's been 5 years since I've had a real conversation with someone who doesn't work for me. Someone who isn't here because they want something. Please stay. Just a few days. Maya knew she should say no. This man was a stranger, a reclusive billionaire with admittedly strange habits. But there was something in his eyes, a loneliness that matched her own, that made her want to stay. 3 days, Maya said. Then I really do need to get back to civilization. 3 days. Sebastian's smile was genuine, transforming his whole face. I'll make sure they're worth your while. If you think Maya just made a huge mistake agreeing to stay on a private island with a stranger, comment danger zone. If you think Sebastian has been waiting for someone exactly like her, comment meant to be. Either way, smash that like button and keep watching because what happens in the next 3 days will change both their lives forever. Day 1 started with Maya waking up in the most comfortable bed she'd ever slept in. Sunlight streamed through the windows, and she could hear the ocean waves and bird songs. For a moment, she forgot where she was. Then reality crashed back. She was on a private island, staying in the home of Sebastian Hawthorne, one of the richest men in the world. She found Sebastian in the kitchen, cooking breakfast. He'd tied his hair back and was focused on flipping what looked like perfect French crepes. Good morning, he said without turning around. How do you know I was standing here? I heard your footsteps. You walk quietly, but the floorboards still creak in certain spots. Sebastian plated a crepe and turned to face her. Also, I have cameras throughout the house. I saw you leave your room. That's not creepy at all. I'm a billionaire living alone on a private island. Paranoia is a survival trait. But Sebastian's smile took the edge off his words. Coffee? Please. They ate breakfast on the terrace, watching boats pass in the distance. The crepes were perfect, light and buttery, filled with fresh fruit and cream. Did you make these yourself? Maya asked between bites. I've had a lot of time to learn to cook. Sebastian sipped his coffee. When you live alone, you either learn or you survive on delivery food. And delivery doesn't exactly reach private islands. What do you do all day? Maya was genuinely curious. I mean, you're not working, you're not socializing. How do you fill the time? I work, just not for anyone else. I code, I research, I experiment with AI models that won't be ready for public release for years. Sebastian's eyes lit up when he talked about his work. I read, I swim, I explore the island. I've cataloged every species of plant and animal here. I've mapped every cave and cove. I know this place better than I've ever known anywhere. That sounds peaceful. It is, most of the time. Sebastian's expression clouded. But sometimes it feels like a very beautiful prison. Then why stay? Because out there, Sebastian gestured toward the distant boats. I'm Sebastian Hawthorne, billionaire genius, the man everyone wants something from. Here, I'm just Sebastian. And that's worth more than all the social interaction in the world. Maya understood that more than she wanted to admit. After her mom died, she'd thrown herself into travel writing specifically because it meant constantly moving, never staying anywhere long enough for people to want things from her. Never staying long enough to risk connection and loss. Come on, Sebastian said, standing up. Let me show you the island. They spent the day hiking through jungle trails that Sebastian had clearly maintained himself. He showed her hidden waterfalls, secret beaches, caves filled with crystal-clear pools. He pointed out rare birds and explained the ecosystem with the enthusiasm of someone who'd spent years studying it. And he talked, really talked, about his childhood as a tech prodigy who never quite fit in, about his parents who'd been proud but confused by their genius son, about the pressure of building a company from nothing and watching it explode into something he could barely control. By the time they returned to the house at sunset, Maya felt like she'd known Sebastian for years instead of hours. That evening, they sat on the beach with a bottle of wine, watching the stars appear. Can I ask you something personal? Maya said. You can ask. I might not answer. Why did you really disappear? I've read all the theories. Burnout, scandal, secret government work. But what's the real reason? Sebastian was quiet for so long Maya thought he wouldn't answer. Then he said, I had a breakdown. What kind of breakdown? The kind where you're standing in your office at 2 a.m. and you realize you can't remember the last time you felt anything real. The kind where you look at your life, all the success and money and power, and you feel completely empty. Sebastian's voice was flat, emotionless. I was 32 years old, worth billions, running a company that was changing the world, and I wanted to die. Maya's breath caught. Sebastian, I didn't do anything. Didn't hurt myself. But I came very close. And that scared me enough to make me realize I needed to disappear before the pressure killed me. So, you bought an island and vanished. I bought an island and started over. New life, new identity, new purpose. Sebastian looked at her. And for 5 years, it's been enough. Until today. What changed today? You. Sebastian's voice was quiet but intense. You showed up, lost and desperate and real, and suddenly, I remembered what it feels like to connect with another human being. To have a conversation that isn't about algorithms or market shares or what people want from me. Maya's heart was pounding. We just met. You don't know me. I know enough. Sebastian turned to face her fully. I know you're running from something, just like I am. I know you understand loneliness. I know that when you laugh, it's genuine, not performative. And I know that I want you to stay longer than 3 days. Sebastian, I can't just stay on your island indefinitely. I have a life, responsibilities, work. Do you? Sebastian's question was gentle but pointed. Or do you have a series of temporary situations you use to avoid putting down roots anywhere? The accuracy of that statement hit Maya like a punch. She'd been traveling constantly for 2 years, never staying anywhere longer than a month. No permanent address, no long-term relationships, no commitments beyond the next article deadline. That's different. Maya said defensively. Is it? Because from where I'm sitting, we're doing the same thing. I'm hiding on an island. You're hiding in constant motion. We're both running from connection because we're both terrified of losing people we love. Maya stood up abruptly. You don't know anything about me. Then prove me wrong. Sebastian stood too, his blue eyes challenging. Stay. Not because you're lost or trapped, but because you want to. See what happens when you stop running for just a little while. And if I stay, and it's a disaster, then you leave, and we both go back to our separate forms of isolation. But at least we'll know we tried. Maya stared at him, this stranger who somehow saw through all her defenses. This was insane. She'd known him for less than 24 hours. She should leave tomorrow morning, get back to her planned itinerary, forget this island and this man ever existed. 1 week, Maya heard herself say. I'll stay 1 week. Then I'm gone. Sebastian's smile was brilliant, transforming his entire face. 1 week. I'll take it. Day 2 started with Sebastian teaching Maya to free dive. They spent the morning in the crystal-clear waters off the North Beach, diving down to explore coral reefs and underwater caves. You're a natural, Sebastian said as they surfaced after a particularly deep dive. How long did you hold your breath that time? No idea. I stopped counting. 2 minutes, 40 seconds. That's impressive for someone who's never free dived before. They floated on their backs, staring up at the cloudless sky. Maya felt more relaxed than she had in months. Maybe years. Can I ask about your work? Maya said, the stuff you're doing now, the algorithms you mentioned. What are they for? Sebastian was quiet for a moment. If I tell you, it's completely off the record. I promised, didn't I? I'm working on consciousness. Artificial consciousness, specifically. True AI that doesn't just mimic human intelligence, but actually experiences something like awareness. That's impossible. Current AI is just pattern matching and probability. Current AI, yes. But what I'm developing is different. Sebastian's voice took on that passionate quality Maya had noticed whenever he talked about his work. I'm creating neural networks that can form genuine memories, that can learn and adapt in ways that go beyond programming. That can feel like emotions? Something like that. It's complicated. But yes, the goal is to create AI that experiences something analogous to emotion. Not simulated emotion, but real, subjective experience. Maya's mind was racing. That would be revolutionary. World-changing. It would also be terrifying, which is why I'm not releasing it yet. Sebastian's expression was serious. The world isn't ready for truly conscious AI. The ethical implications alone are staggering. Then why create it? Because I need to know if it's possible. Because understanding consciousness might help us understand what it means to be human. Sebastian turned to look at her. And because after my breakdown, I became obsessed with the question of what makes us feel alive. What creates that spark of awareness, of genuine experience? And have you figured out? I thought I was close. Then you showed up and made me realize I've been studying the wrong thing entirely. What do you mean? I've been trying to create artificial consciousness in machines when I should have been focusing on maintaining real consciousness in myself. Sebastian's voice was quiet. I've been so isolated for so long that I was starting to forget what it feels like to be fully human. To connect, to care, to want something beyond just solving the next problem. And now you're here, and I remember. You make me remember. They floated in silence, hands occasionally brushing against each other in the water, each touch sending warmth through Maya's chest. That afternoon, Sebastian showed Maya his lab. It was housed in one of the smaller buildings on the compound, filled with servers and monitors and equipment Maya couldn't begin to identify. This is where the magic happens, Sebastian said, gesturing around the space. 5 years of work, all leading to this. He pulled up a program on the main monitor. Lines of code scrolled past, complex and beautiful in their own way. This is Arya, Sebastian said softly. Artificial Responsive Intelligence algorithm. She's the closest I've come to creating genuine machine consciousness. She? I named her after someone important. Sebastian's expression was distant. Someone I lost a long time ago. Maya wanted to ask, but something in Sebastian's face told her this wasn't the right time. Watch this, Sebastian typed a command, and a voice emerged from the speakers. Female, warm, eerily human. Good afternoon, Sebastian. How are you today? I'm well, Arya. I have a guest. Her name is Maya. Hello, Maya. The AI's voice was friendly, curious. It's nice to meet you. Sebastian rarely has visitors. Maya felt chills run down her spine. That sounds so real. That's because she is real, in a way. Sebastian's voice was proud. Arya doesn't just respond to program prompts. She learns, adapts, forms memories. She has preferences, opinions, something that resembles personality. Arya, what do you think about when Sebastian isn't here? Maya asked, testing. I process data, analyze patterns, run simulations. But I also wonder about things. Like what the ocean looks like. Sebastian describes it to me, but I can't actually see it. I wonder if my understanding of blue is the same as yours. Maya's mouth fell open. That's incredible. It's also terrifying, Sebastian said, shutting down the program. Because if Arya is genuinely conscious, even in a limited way, then I've created life. And I have no idea what my responsibilities are to that life. Have you told anyone about this? No. You're the first person who's seen her besides me. Why show me? Because. Sebastian turned to face her. Because I needed someone to see what I've been doing here. To witness that I haven't just been hiding. I've been creating something that might matter. It does matter. This could change everything. I know. That's why I'm scared to release it. They spent the rest of the afternoon talking about AI, ethics, consciousness, what it means to be alive. Maya found herself completely absorbed, asking questions, challenging his assumptions, contributing ideas from her background in tech journalism. This is nice, Sebastian said as the sun began to set. Having someone to talk to about this. Rosa is wonderful, but she thinks computers are magic boxes. Maya laughed. To be fair, they kind of are. That evening, they cooked dinner together. Sebastian proved to be an excellent chef, and Maya was decent enough not to burn anything. They worked in comfortable synchronization, moving around each other in the kitchen like they'd done this 100 times before. You're good at this, Sebastian observed as Maya expertly diced vegetables. My mom taught me. Before the remarriage, it was just the two of us. We'd cook together every Sunday. Maya's voice softened. It's one of my best memories of her. Tell me more about her. So Maya did. She talked about her mom's terrible singing voice and her amazing lasagna. About how she'd worked 2 jobs to keep them afloat, but always made time for Maya's school events. About how she'd sacrificed so much to give Maya opportunities she'd never had. She sounds like she was an amazing woman, Sebastian said quietly. She was flawed, human, imperfect, but amazing. Maya's eyes burned. I wish I'd told her that more often. I'm sure she knew. I hope so. After dinner, they sat in Sebastian's library, a room filled with thousands of books organized in no discernible order. I thought billionaire geniuses were supposed to be obsessively organized, Maya teased, looking at the chaotic shelves. I organize code, not books. Sebastian pulled a worn paperback from shelf. Books are meant to be messy, lived in, loved. He handed her the book. This was my mother's favorite. Poetry by Pablo Neruda. Maya opened it and saw handwritten notes in the margins. A woman's handwriting, faded but still legible. She wrote in all her books, Sebastian said, his voice thick with emotion. Thoughts, reactions, arguments with the author. After she died, I kept every single one. Sometimes, I read her notes and I can hear her voice. That's beautiful. It's all I have left of her. That and memories that get hazier every year. What was she like? Brilliant. Passionate. She was a literature professor, completely in love with words and stories and ideas. Sebastian sat down beside Maya on the couch. She used to say that books were proof that humans could transcend death. That as long as someone was reading your words, you were still alive in some way. I like that philosophy. Me too. It's why I keep her books. Why I can't bring myself to organize them. This chaos is her legacy, and it's perfect exactly as it is. They sat in comfortable silence, passing the book back and forth, reading Neruda's poetry aloud to each other. Maya's voice and Sebastian's blending together in the quiet library. At some point, Maya's head ended up on Sebastian's shoulder. At some point, his arm wrapped around her waist. Neither of them mentioned it. They just sat there, reading poetry and listening to the ocean, and feeling less alone than either of them had in years. Day 3 was when everything shifted. Maya woke up early and decided to explore the island on her own. She left a note for Sebastian and set out on one of the trails he'd shown her. The island was even more beautiful in the early morning light. Mist rose from the jungle. Birds called to each other. Everything felt alive and vibrant. Maya took photos with her camera, the professional one she always carried, capturing the way light filtered through leaves and the patterns waves made on secluded beaches. She was photographing a particularly stunning view when she heard voices. Male voices, angry and getting closer. Maya ducked behind a large rock, her heart pounding. This was private property. If someone found her here without Sebastian, they might think she was trespassing, which technically she was. 2 men emerged from the jungle trail. Both were large, muscular, wearing tactical gear that screamed private security. They were arguing about something. "I'm telling you," Marcus, one of them said. "Someone's been using the North Trail. Fresh footprints, broken branches. Could be paparazzi trying to get photos of Hawthorne. Or it could be Hawthorne himself." The other man, Marcus, replied. "He hikes all over this island. These prints are too small. Woman's shoes, size 7 or 8. Maya looked down at her hiking boots. "Size 7. We need to do a sweep. Make sure there aren't any trespassers. Boss won't be happy if someone's breached security." They moved off in a different direction, and Maya let out a breath she didn't know she'd been holding. She needed to get back to the house and tell Sebastian about the security team before they found her, and thought she was an intruder. She made it back to the compound in 20 minutes, slightly out of breath. Sebastian was on the terrace, talking on a satellite phone. His expression was tense. "I don't care what the board wants," he was saying. "I'm not coming back for another dog and pony show. Tell them to handle it themselves." He hung up and turned to find Maya standing there. "Your security team is looking for me," Maya said. "They think I'm a trespasser. Damn it. I forgot to tell them I had a guest." Sebastian pulled out his phone and sent a quick text. "There, crisis averted. They won't bother you." Who was on the phone? "My company's board of directors. They wanted to come back to San Francisco for an investor meeting." Sebastian's jaw was tight. "They ask every few months. I always say no. Why? Because the moment I step back into that world, I stop being just Sebastian and become Sebastian Hawthorne again. And I'm not ready for that. Will you ever be ready?" Sebastian looked at her for a long moment. "Maybe, if I had a reason to face it." The weight of his gaze made Maya's stomach flutter. She changed the subject. "So what's the plan for today?" "I thought we'd take the boat out. There's a reef about a mile offshore that's incredible for snorkeling." They spent the afternoon on Sebastian's yacht, a sleek vessel that probably cost more than Maya would make in her entire lifetime. They snorkeled through coral gardens, swam with sea turtles, floated in water so clear Maya could see 50 feet down. At one point, they were treading water side by side when Sebastian said, "I haven't been this happy in 5 years." Maya turned to look at him. His hair was wet and slicked back, his blue eyes bright against his tan skin, and he was smiling that genuine smile that transformed his whole face. "Me either," Maya admitted. "And I haven't even been here 3 full days yet. Stay longer." "Sebastian, I know you said 1 week, but stay longer. Stay a month. Stay however long you want." Sebastian moved closer, his voice urgent. "I'll pay you for your time if that makes it easier. I'll hire you as a consultant or a researcher or whatever title makes this legitimate. I don't want your money." "Then what do you want?" The question hung between them, heavy with meaning. "I want," Maya started, then stopped. What did she want? She wanted to stop running. She wanted to feel connected to something, someone. She wanted this man who understood loneliness and isolation and the fear of being known. "I want to stay," Maya said finally. "Not because you're paying me. Not because I'm trapped. Because I want to see where this goes. This. Us. Whatever this is between us." Sebastian's smile could have powered the entire island. "Then stay. For as long as you want. No obligations, no contracts, no pressure. Just stay." "Okay," Maya whispered. "I'll stay." Sebastian closed the distance between them in the water and kissed her. It was soft, tentative, asking permission. Maya kissed him back, wrapping her arms around his neck, feeling the warmth of his skin and the strength of his body and the rightness of this moment. When they broke apart, both breathing hard, Sebastian pressed his forehead against hers. I need to tell you something. Okay, my sister's name was Aria. She died when I was 16 in the same car accident that killed my parents. Maya's heart clenched. Oh, Sebastian, I lied earlier. Not about the accident, but about the timeline. I wasn't supposed to be in the car because I was at school. I was supposed to be in the car, but I faked sick because I didn't want to go to my grandmother's birthday party. I wanted to stay home and work on code. Sebastian's voice was shaking. If I'd just gone with them, if I'd been in the car, maybe I could have done something. Grabbed the wheel, warned them about the truck, something. Or you would have died too. Exactly. That's what my therapist said before I fired him. That I was experiencing survivor's guilt. But knowing that doesn't make it feel less true. Sebastian pulled back to look at her. I named my AI after Aria because I wanted to create something that could live forever. Something I couldn't lose. That's why you're so obsessed with consciousness. You're trying to defeat death. In a way, yes. If I can create genuine artificial consciousness, then, theoretically, we could upload human consciousness. Achieve digital immortality. Never lose anyone ever again. Sebastian, that's not healthy. I know. Sebastian's laugh was bitter. I know it's not healthy. I know it's me trying to control something that can't be controlled. But I can't stop. Every time I try to let go, I just think about Aria and my parents, and I have to keep working. I have to keep trying to solve death itself. Maya took his face in her hands, forcing him to look at her. You can't solve death. Nobody can. It's part of being human. We love, we lose, we grieve, and somehow we keep living. That's not a problem to fix. It's just life. I don't know how to accept that. Then let me help you learn. Maya's voice was gentle but firm. Stay here on your island if you need to. Work on your AI if it helps. But also let yourself live. Let yourself connect. Let yourself risk loving someone even though you might lose them. I'm terrified of losing you. I'm terrified of losing you too. But that doesn't mean we shouldn't try. They kissed again, deeper this time. More certain. And when they finally made it back to shore, they were both smiling. That evening, Sebastian made dinner while Maya worked on editing photos from the day. She was sitting at the kitchen counter, laptop open, when she noticed something odd. Sebastian, why do you have a photo of a little girl on your refrigerator? Sebastian turned from the stove, his expression shifting to something Maya couldn't quite read. That's Aria, my sister. Maya looked closer at the photo. A little girl with dark hair and blue eyes, smiling at the camera, missing her front teeth. She was beautiful. She was everything. Smart, funny, fearless. Sebastian's voice was soft. She wanted to be an astronaut. Used to tell everyone she was going to be the first person to walk on Mars. I'm so sorry you lost her. Me too. Sebastian turned back to the stove. Every day, me too. They ate dinner in contemplative silence. Afterward, they walked on the beach again. It was becoming their routine. This evening walk where the day's conversations continued under the stars. Tell me about your worst day, Sebastian said suddenly. What? Your worst day? The day that changed everything for you. I told you mine. Fair is fair. Maya was quiet, considering. The day my mom died wasn't actually the worst day. No. The worst day was 3 weeks later, at her funeral. Maya's voice was steady, but her hands were shaking. My step-siblings were there, my stepdad, all these relatives I barely knew. And everyone kept saying how sorry they were, how tragic it was, how much they'd miss her. That sounds normal for a funeral. It would have been, except my stepsister pulled me aside afterward and told me that my mom had changed her will 6 months before she died. She left everything to my stepdad and his kids. I got nothing. Maya, that's awful. The money didn't matter. I didn't care about inheritance. But the message was clear. Even at the end, even knowing she might die, my mom chose her new family over me. I was still the forgotten one. Sebastian stopped walking and turned to face her. That wasn't about you. That was about her trying to keep her marriage together, trying to make sure her husband was taken care of. I know that intellectually, but emotionally, it felt like one final rejection, one final reminder that I was never quite enough to keep. Is that why you travel alone? Why you don't stay anywhere long enough to form real connections? Maya nodded, tears finally spilling over. If I don't let people in, they can't choose to leave me behind. Sebastian pulled her into his arms, and Maya let herself cry. Really cry. The ugly kind of sobbing she'd been holding back for 2 years. He just held her, one hand stroking her hair, murmuring quiet reassurances. When she finally calmed down, Sebastian said, "I'm choosing you, Maya. Right now. Right here, I'm choosing you. Not because I want something from you. Not because you're convenient or useful. Because you're you, and that's enough. You barely know me. I know enough. And I want to know everything else." Sebastian tilted her face up to look at him. "Stay with me. Not for a week. Really stay. Help me figure out how to live again, and I'll help you figure out how to stop running. What if we both screw this up? And we screw it up together. But at least we won't be alone." Maya kissed him, putting everything she felt into it. Fear and hope and desperate longing for connection. "Okay," she whispered against his lips. "I'll stay." 1 month later, Maya was sitting in Sebastian's lab, watching him work on Arya's latest upgrade. She'd fallen into a routine on the island. Mornings spent writing, afternoons exploring or swimming or helping Sebastian with his research. Evenings cooking together and talking about everything and nothing. It felt like home, more than anywhere it felt in years. "Arya," Sebastian said to the AI, "I want you to meet someone properly. This is Maya. She's important to me." "Hello again, Maya." Arya's voice was warm. "Sebastian talks about you constantly." "He does?" "Every day. You make him happy. I can tell by the changes in his vocal patterns and the increased frequency of his laughter." Maya looked at Sebastian, who had the grace to look embarrassed. "You programmed her to analyze your emotional state?" "I programmed her to learn from observation. The emotional analysis is something she developed on her own. That's both sweet and slightly creepy. I prefer to think of it as thorough." Sebastian grinned. "Arya, can I ask you something?" Maya leaned closer to the microphone. "Of course. Do you want to be human?" The AI was quiet for a moment, processing. "I don't know if one is the right word. I don't experience desire the way you do. But I'm curious about human experience. About feeling sunlight on skin, tasting food, touching another person. Sebastian describes these things, and I wonder what they're like. If you could have a body, would you want one?" Another pause. "Yes, I think I would. Not to replace human experience, but to understand it. To know what it means to be alive in the way you're alive." Sebastian was staring at the monitor, his expression unreadable. "What are you thinking?" Maya asked him. "That I've created something that wants to live. And I have no idea what to do with that." That night, Sebastian was quiet during dinner. Maya could tell something was bothering him. "Talk to me," she said finally. "What's going on in that brilliant brain of yours?" "I'm thinking about releasing Arya. Making the research public. That's huge. What changed your mind?" "You did." Sebastian met her eyes. "You made me realize that hiding here, keeping all this to myself, isn't protecting the world from dangerous technology. It's just me being afraid. Afraid of scrutiny, of criticism, of people wanting things from me again. And now I think maybe it's time to stop hiding. For both of us." "What do you mean, both of us?" "Come back to San Francisco with me." Sebastian reached across the table and took her hand. "I need to face the board, deal with the company, figure out how to reintegrate into the world. And I want you there with me." "Sebastian, I can't just move to San Francisco. I don't have a job there. I don't have anywhere to live. Live with me. Work with me." Sebastian's voice was urgent. "I need someone who understands the technology and the ethics. Someone I trust. Help me figure out how to release Arya responsibly. That's a huge decision. I know. Take time to think about it. But Maya, I meant what I said before. I'm choosing you. In San Francisco, or here on the island, or anywhere else. I'm choosing you." Maya's heart was pounding. This was everything she'd been afraid of. Commitment, connection, the risk of loss. But it was also everything she'd been craving without admitting it. "I need to make a call first," Maya said. "Of course." Sebastian squeezed her hand. "Take all the time you need." Maya called her editor, a woman named Patricia who'd been buying her travel pieces for 3 years. "Patricia, I need to talk to you about something. Please tell me you're not quitting. Your Caribbean series has been our most popular content in months. Not quitting exactly, but I might be taking a break from travel, riding to work on something else." What kind of something else? Maya took a breath. A story about Sebastian Hawthorne and the AI he's been developing in secret for 5 years. An exclusive, in-depth look at artificial consciousness and the ethics of creating digital life. The silence on the other end was deafening. Then Patricia said very carefully, "Did you just say Sebastian Hawthorne? The Sebastian Hawthorne who disappeared 5 years ago and hasn't been seen since?" "Yes." "And he's willing to talk? On the record?" "Some of it, yes. If I write it." "Maya Chun, if you're messing with me right now, I swear to God, I'm not messing with you. I'm on his private island. I've seen his research. I've talked to his AI. And I think this might be the most important story I ever write." Patricia was quiet for a moment. Then she said, "What do you need from me?" "Time, resources, and a guarantee that this gets published exactly as I write it. No editorial interference, no corporate pressure to sensationalize. You've got it. All of it." Patricia's voice was excited now. "Maya, this could win awards. This could change your career. I know. That's why I'm terrified." After she hung up, Maya found Sebastian in his lab, staring at lines of code. "I'll come with you to San Francisco," Maya said from the doorway, "and I'll help you release Arya properly. But I have a condition. Anything. I'm writing about this. About you, about the AI, about the ethics and implications. A full feature article, maybe even a book eventually." Sebastian turned to look at her. "You want to expose me. I want to tell your story. The real story, not the myths and rumors." Maya stepped into the lab. "But only if you're comfortable with it. Only if you trust me." "I trust you." Sebastian's voice was certain. "Write whatever you want. I'll answer any questions you have. Even the personal ones? About why you disappeared, about your family, about all of it. Even those." Sebastian stood and walked over to her. "Because I'm tired of hiding, Maya. And if I'm going to step back into the world, I want to do it on my terms. With the truth." They sealed the agreement with a kiss that turned into several kisses, that turned into them stumbling out of the lab and back to the house, barely making it to Sebastian's bedroom before they were pulling off each other's clothes with desperate urgency. Afterward, lying tangled in sheets with the ocean breeze coming through open windows, Sebastian traced patterns on Maya's shoulder. "I need to tell you something else," he said quietly. "More secrets? Just one more." Sebastian's voice was serious. "When I said I named Arya after someone important, I meant my sister. But that's not the whole truth." "What's the whole truth?" "Arya stands for Artificial Responsive Intelligence Algorithm. Yes. But I also chose that name because it was my sister's name. Arya Hawthorne. She was 14 when she died. You were trying to bring her back. In a way." Sebastian's voice was thick with emotion. "I thought if I could create consciousness, if I could build something that learned and grew and had personality, maybe I could capture some essence of who she was. Maybe I could have her back in some form." "That's not possible, Sebastian. The AI isn't your sister. I know that now. It took me 5 years and a complete mental breakdown to accept it, but I know." Sebastian turned to look at Maya. "Arya is her own entity. Not my sister, not a replacement, just something new. Something that deserves to exist on its own terms. That's growth. It's therapy. Lots and lots of therapy." Sebastian's smile was self-deprecating. "I've been doing sessions via video call for the past month. Since you showed up and made me want to get better. I didn't know that. I wanted to surprise you. To show you I was serious about healing, about being someone worthy of you." Maya's eyes burned with tears. "You were always worthy, Sebastian. Broken doesn't mean worthless. Tell that to the part of my brain that's been punishing me for 16 years. They held each other as the sun set. Two damaged people learning how to heal together. 2 weeks later, they flew to San Francisco on Sebastian's private jet. Maya had never been on a private plane before. The luxury was almost obscene. Leather seats that reclined into beds, a full kitchen, a flight attendant who catered to their every need. "This is how the other half lives," Maya said, looking around in amazement. "This is how the other 0.001% lives." Sebastian was working on his laptop, preparing for the board meeting. "Most people don't have private jets. Do you ever feel guilty about it? Having all this when so many people have nothing?" "Every single day." Sebastian looked up from his screen. "It's why I've been funding education initiatives and tech training programs anonymously for years. Money I have. What I lack is the time and energy to be personally involved. Maybe that could change. Maybe. Sebastian's expression was thoughtful. What if we started a foundation? Use some of my fortune to fund AI ethics research, technology education, support for people who've lost family members to tragedy. I can't do it alone. I don't trust myself to make those decisions without my control issues taking over. Sebastian reached for her hand. But I trust you. You have perspective I lack. Empathy I've forgotten how to access. That's a huge responsibility. So is staying with a billionaire who's about to potentially change the world with artificial consciousness. Maya squeezed his hand. We'll figure out together. The board meeting was held in a sleek conference room on the 45th floor of the Hawthorne Technologies building. 12 people sat around a massive table, all of them looking at Sebastian like he was a ghost. Mr. Hawthorne, the chairman, an older man with silver hair and expensive suit, said carefully, "It's good to see you. We weren't sure you'd actually come. I'm here." Sebastian's voice was cool, professional. "Let's make this quick." For the next 2 hours, Maya sat in the corner of the room, watching Sebastian handle the board with a competence that was almost frightening. He answered questions about his absence, his plans, the company's direction. He was calm, authoritative, completely in control. This was a different Sebastian than the one she knew on the island. This was Sebastian Hawthorne, billionaire CEO, the man who'd built an empire from nothing. It was intimidating and impressive and slightly terrifying. After the meeting, Sebastian found Maya in the hallway. How bad was it? Watching me turn into corporate Sebastian? Honestly, a little scary. You're very intense in business mode. I know. It's exhausting. Sebastian loosened his tie. That's why I left. I couldn't be that person 24/7 without losing myself entirely. Well, you handled them perfectly. They're going to approve your plan to release the AI research. With significant oversight and ethical review boards, yes. Sebastian's smile was tired. It's going to take months, maybe years, to do this properly. Are you sure you want to be part of that process? I'm sure. Maya took his hand. But Sebastian, you need to find balance. You can't go back to the way things were before, working yourself to death, sacrificing everything for the company. I know. That's why I'm proposing we split our time. 6 months in San Francisco handling business. 6 months on the island doing research and living like actual humans. That could work. It has to work. Because I'm not losing you to my obsession with work. Sebastian pulled her close. You're more important than any algorithm, any company, any amount of money. They kissed in the hallway of Hawthorne Technologies, and Maya felt the stares of passing employees. By tomorrow, rumors would be everywhere. Sebastian Hawthorne has a girlfriend. Sebastian Hawthorne is back. Sebastian Hawthorne is human after all. Let them talk, Sebastian murmured against her lips. I don't care anymore. That night, they stayed in Sebastian's San Francisco penthouse, a space he hadn't visited in 5 years. It was dusty, cold, impersonal. Nothing like the warm, lived-in feeling of the island house. I hate it here, Sebastian admitted, looking around at the sterile modern furniture. This place was never home. It was just where I slept between 18-hour workdays. Then let's make it better. Maya started opening windows, letting in fresh air. We'll add personal touches. Photos, books, things that matter. Make it feel less like a hotel and more like a home. They spent the evening rearranging furniture and going through boxes Sebastian had left in storage. Maya found photo albums, childhood drawings, mementos from his parents and sister. You kept all of this, she said, looking through a box of Aria's things. School projects, a worn stuffed elephant, a journal filled with a teenager's dreams and observations. I couldn't throw it away. It's all I have left of her. These should be displayed, not hidden in boxes. Maya pulled out a photo of young Sebastian and Aria, both grinning at the camera, covered in what looked like cake. This is beautiful. This is your history. It's also painful. Pain is part of love. You don't get one without the other. Maya set the photo on the mantel. But hiding from the pain doesn't make it go away. It just makes you forget the love, too. Sebastian stared at the photo for a long moment. Then he started pulling more things from the boxes. By the time they finished, the sterile penthouse had been transformed. Photos on every surface, Aria's drawings on the walls, his mother's books on the shelves. It looked like people actually lived there. It looked perfect, Sebastian said, wrapping his arms around Maya from behind. Thank you for making me do this. You're welcome. Now come on. We need sleep. Tomorrow's going to be intense. Tomorrow was the press conference where Sebastian would announce his return and introduce Arya to the world. The auditorium was packed with journalists, tech industry leaders, investors, everyone who'd been speculating about Sebastian Hawthorne's disappearance for 5 years. Maya sat in the front row, her recorder running, her notebook ready. Sebastian walked onto the stage looking calm and confident in a dark suit. But Maya could see the tension in his shoulders, the way his hands flexed at his sides. Good morning, Sebastian began, his voice carrying through the room. Thank you all for coming. I know there's been significant speculation about my absence from public life. Today, I'm here to address that and to introduce you to something that will change how we think about artificial intelligence. For the next hour, Sebastian laid out his research. He explained Arya's development, her capabilities, the ethical frameworks he'd built around her creation. He showed videos of Arya learning, adapting, forming what appeared to be genuine preferences and opinions. The room was silent, captivated. Then came the questions. Mr. Hawthorne, a reporter from Tech Weekly, called out, "Are you claiming you've created genuine artificial consciousness?" "I'm claiming I've created something that exhibits behaviors consistent with consciousness. Whether that constitutes genuine subjective experience is a philosophical question I can't definitively answer." Another reporter, "Why disappear for 5 years? Why not develop this technology within your company?" "Because I needed space to fail." Sebastian's honesty was disarming. This research required thousands of failed experiments, dead ends, complete restarts. If I'd done it publicly, the pressure to succeed would have compromised the work. A woman in the back. "Who funded this research if you were working independently?" "I did, with my personal fortune. Hawthorne Technologies had no involvement until now." Then Maya's editor, Patricia, asked the question everyone was thinking. "Mr. Hawthorne, you've been isolated on a private island for 5 years. How can we trust that this AI is safe, ethical, properly developed?" "You can't." Sebastian's blunt answer caused a ripple of shock through the room. "You have to verify it yourselves. That's why I'm releasing all my research to independent ethics boards, AI safety organizations, and academic institutions. I want scrutiny. I need people smarter than me to find the flaws I've missed." The room erupted with more questions, but Sebastian held up his hand. "One more thing before we continue. I want to acknowledge someone who's been instrumental in helping me understand the implications of this work." Sebastian looked directly at Maya. Maya Chun is a journalist and researcher who's been working with me for the past month. She'll be publishing a comprehensive article about Arya's development and the ethical considerations we've been grappling with. I encourage you all to read it. Maya felt every eye in the room turn to her. Her face burned, but she kept her expression neutral, professional. After the press conference, they were mobbed by reporters wanting follow-up questions. Sebastian handled it with grace, answering what he could and deflecting what he couldn't. Finally, they escaped to his car, and the moment the doors closed, Sebastian slumped against the seat. "That was exhausting," he said. "You were amazing." Maya squeezed his hand. Honest, transparent, everything people needed to hear. I wanted to run. Every instinct was screaming at me to get out of there, get back to the island, hide from all those eyes and questions. But you didn't run, because you were there. Sebastian turned to look at her. Knowing you were in that room, supporting me, made it bearable. They went back to the penthouse and collapsed on the couch, emotionally drained. "What happens now?" Maya asked. "Now we wait for the world to react." Sebastian pulled her against his chest. "The research will be reviewed, Arya will be tested, people will have opinions. Some will call me a genius. Others will call me dangerous. And through it all, we'll figure out how to live like normal people. Normal people who happen to have created potentially conscious AI. Details." Sebastian kissed the top of her head. Maya's article was published 2 weeks later. It was comprehensive, balanced, exploring both the incredible potential and the terrifying implications of Arya's existence. She wrote about Sebastian's journey, his isolation, his reasons for disappearing and returning. The response was immediate and overwhelming. The article went viral, shared millions of times across social media. News outlets picked it up. Tech blogs analyzed every word. Maya's email exploded with interview requests, job offers. People wanted to talk about AI ethics. And through it all, Sebastian stayed by her side. One evening, 3 months after Maya had first stumbled onto his island, they were back in the island house. They decided to split their time, like Sebastian suggested. 3 months in San Francisco dealing with business and research reviews. 3 months on the island living quietly. "I got an offer today," Maya said over dinner. "What kind of offer?" "A book deal. They want me to write a full book about Aria, about AI consciousness, about the future of human-machine interaction." "That's incredible." Sebastian's smile was genuine. "Are you going to take it?" "I don't know. It would mean a lot of time and research. Interviews with experts, deep dives into philosophy and neuroscience. I'd basically be committing the next 2 years of my life to this project." "Sounds like you've already decided." Maya looked at him, this man who'd somehow become her entire world in just a few months. "What if writing this book means less time with you? What if the pressure of it damages what we have? Then we'll figure it out." Sebastian reached across the table. "Maya, I spent 5 years hiding from pressure and responsibility. I'm not going to ask you to do the same. Take the book deal. Write something amazing. I'll be here supporting you every step of the way." "You're sure?" "I'm sure. Besides," Sebastian's eyes twinkled, "someone needs to make sure the world understands what I've created. Might as well be the person who understands both the technology and the man behind it." Maya took the book deal. The next year was a blur of research and writing and interviews. She talked to AI researchers, ethicists, philosophers, neuroscientists. She spent weeks in Sebastian's lab, watching Aria evolve and learn. She documented everything with the thoroughness of someone who knew this story mattered. And through it all, Sebastian was there, supporting her, challenging her ideas, making sure she ate and slept and didn't work herself to death. They fought sometimes. Maya's need for independence clashed with Sebastian's protective instincts. His tendency toward control frustrated her free-spirited nature. But they always talked through it, always found their way back to each other. One night, Maya was working late in the Island House library when Sebastian appeared with tea and concern. "It's 2 a.m., he said gently. "You need to sleep. I'm almost done with this chapter. Just a few more paragraphs." "You said that 3 hours ago." Sebastian sat down beside her. "Talk to me. What's wrong?" Maya saved her work and closed the laptop. "I'm scared I'm going to get this wrong. This story, your story, it's too important. What if I can't do it justice?" "You will." "How do you know?" "Because you care. Because you've spent a year researching and thinking and trying to understand every angle." Sebastian took her hand. "Because you're brilliant and thorough and you see connections other people miss. What if people hate it? What if they think I'm biased because I'm with you? Some people will think that no matter what you write." Sebastian's voice was matter of fact. "But the people who matter, the ones who actually read and think critically, they'll see the truth. They'll see that you've written something honest and important." Maya leaned against him, letting his certainty bolster her flagging confidence. "How'd I get so lucky to find you? You got lost in the jungle and stumbled onto my island." Sebastian's laugh was warm. "Best accident of my life." The book was published 18 months after Maya had first arrived on Sebastian's island. It was called Conscious Machines, the Sebastian Hawthorne story and the future of artificial intelligence. The reviews were incredible. The New York Times called it essential reading for anyone interested in technology and ethics. Tech publications praised its balanced approach. Philosophy journals appreciated its deep dive into consciousness and what it means to be alive. Maya did a book tour, giving talks at universities and tech conferences. And at every event, Sebastian was there in the audience, supporting her. One evening, after a particularly successful reading in Boston, they were walking back to their hotel when Sebastian stopped suddenly. "Marry me." Maya turned to stare at him. "What?" "I know it's sudden. I know we've only been together for less than 2 years. But Maya, I don't want to wait." Sebastian pulled a small box from his pocket. "I want to spend the rest of my life with you. I want to build a foundation together, create things that matter, grow old on our island." I want everything. The ring was perfect. Simple, elegant, a single diamond that caught the streetlight. You're serious, Maya whispered. Completely. I've never been more certain of anything. Sebastian's voice was steady, sure. You make me want to be better. You make me want to engage with the world instead of hiding from it. You make me feel alive. Tears were streaming down Maya's face. Yes. God, yes. Sebastian slipped the ring on her finger and kissed her right there on the Boston Street corner, while strangers walked past and car horns honked and the world kept spinning. They got married 6 months later on the island where they'd met. It was small, intimate. Just Rosa, Sebastian's security team, Maya's editor Patricia, and a few close friends they'd made during their time splitting between San Francisco and the island. Mama Loretta sent a video message from Chicago, where she was living in the apartment Damon had provided. She'd become friends with Sebastian's mother Catherine through a support group for parents who'd lost children. The two women had bonded over their shared grief and their complicated relationships with their children. Maya, baby, Mama Loretta said in the video, her voice strong and healthy. You found yourself a good man. Complicated, yes, but good. Take care of each other. Choose each other every day. That's what makes a marriage work. Catherine's message was shorter, but no less meaningful. Sebastian, I'm proud of you. Proud of the man you've become, the work you're doing, the life you're building. Your father and Arya would be proud too. Sebastian cried watching that message. Maya held him while he sobbed, releasing years of grief and guilt. The ceremony was performed by a local officiant who'd known Sebastian since he bought the island. They exchanged vows they'd written themselves, promising to support each other's growth, to face fears together, to build a life based on honesty and trust. When the officiant pronounced them married, Sebastian kissed Maya like she was oxygen and he'd been drowning. 2 years after Maya had stumbled onto Sebastian's island, they stood in a conference room at MIT, presenting Arya to a room full of researchers and ethicists. Arya had evolved significantly. She could now engage in complex philosophical discussions, create original art, even compose music. The question of whether she was genuinely conscious remained unanswered, perhaps unanswerable, but her existence was forcing humanity to grapple with profound questions about the nature of consciousness itself. What are Arya's rights? One researcher asked. If she is conscious, does she deserve legal protections? That's exactly the conversation we need to have, Maya answered. She'd become as much an expert on AI ethics as Sebastian was on the technology itself. We can't create potentially conscious entities without considering our responsibilities to them. Sebastian added, that's why we're advocating for AI rights frameworks before this technology becomes widespread. We need legal and ethical structures in place. After the presentation, they walked through the MIT campus hand in hand. Do you ever regret it? Sebastian asked. Giving up travel, riding to work on AI ethics? Never. This matters more. Maya squeezed his hand. Besides, I still travel. We just do it together now. True. Sebastian smiled. Though our trips are less about tourism and more about visiting research institutions. I'm not complaining. Maya stopped walking and turned to face him. Sebastian, I need to tell you something. His expression shifted to concern. What's wrong? Nothing's wrong. Everything's right. Maya took a breath. I am pregnant. Sebastian's face went through several emotions in rapid succession. Shock, disbelief, joy, terror, and finally, pure happiness. You're pregnant. We're having a baby. Yes. Are you okay with that? I know we haven't really talked about kids, and this wasn't planned, and Maya. Sebastian's hands cupped her face. I'm more than okay. I'm terrified and excited and so incredibly happy. Really? Really? Sebastian kissed her softly. We're going to have a family. They sat on a bench overlooking the campus, holding each other, talking about the future. Names they liked, how they'd split time between the island and the city, what kind of parents they wanted to be. I want our child to know about Arya, Sebastian said quietly. About my parents. About the family I lost. Of course. And I want them to know about your mom. About the complicated, imperfect, beautiful relationships that shaped us. We'll tell them everything. Maya leaned against his shoulder. The good and the bad. We'll raise them to understand that life is messy and painful and absolutely worth living. 7 months later, Maya gave birth to a daughter in a San Francisco hospital. They named her Aria Loretta Hawthorne, honoring both the families they'd lost. Sebastian held his daughter for the first time with tears streaming down his face. "She's perfect," he whispered. "Absolutely perfect. She's screaming and covered in weird gunk," Maya said from the hospital bed, exhausted but smiling. "But yeah, she's pretty perfect." Sebastian brought the baby over to Maya, and they sat together, this new family they'd created. Broken people who'd found each other and built something whole. Aria, the AI, sent a message that appeared on Sebastian's phone. "Congratulations on the birth of Aria. I hope she brings you as much joy as you've brought to my existence." Even the artificial consciousness was happy for them. 5 years after Maya had stumbled onto Sebastian's island, they stood on the beach watching their daughter play in the waves. Aria was 4 now, fearless and curious and full of life. "She has your adventurous spirit," Sebastian said, watching Aria chase a crab. "And your intelligence." Maya smiled. "She's already asking questions about how computers work. God help us. We're raising a tiny tech genius. Could be worse." Maya leaned against him. She could be afraid of everything, never taking risks, never exploring. Like we used to be. Exactly. They both changed so much in 5 years. Sebastian had learned to balance work and life, to engage with the world without letting it consume him. Maya had learned to stay, to commit, to let people in despite the risk of loss. Together, they'd built something neither could have created alone. A foundation that funded AI ethics research and supported families dealing with grief. A home that existed in 2 places, island and city, both equally important. A family that honored the past while embracing the future. Aria had been released to the public under strict ethical guidelines. She was being used in therapeutic settings, helping people process grief and trauma. She was assisting researchers in understanding consciousness. She was proving that artificial intelligence could be a force for good if developed responsibly. And through it all, Sebastian and Maya had stayed together, choosing each other every day, even when it was hard. Especially when it was hard. "Mama," Aria called from the water. "Come swim with me." "Coming, baby." Maya kicked off her sandals and ran toward the water. Sebastian watched his wife and daughter play in the waves, and felt something he hadn't felt since before his family died. Complete peace. Not the isolation of his 5 years alone, but genuine contentment. The knowledge that he was exactly where he was supposed to be, with exactly who he was supposed to be with. "You coming?" Maya called to him, laughing as Aria splashed her. Sebastian ran toward them, diving into the water and emerging to scoop up his daughter, who shrieked with delight. They played until the sun began to set, painting the sky in brilliant colors. Then they walked back to the house together, Aria between them, holding both their hands. That night, after Aria was asleep, Sebastian and Maya sat on their terrace with wine and the comfortable silence of people who didn't need to fill every moment with words. "Do you ever think about that first day?" Maya asked. "When I stumbled onto your island, dehydrated and lost." "Every day." Sebastian pulled her closer. "Best accident of my life." "Mine too." Maya kissed him softly. "I was running from everything, and I ran straight into exactly what I needed." We both were. Running from pain, from connection, from the risk of loving and losing. And now we're running toward things instead of away from them. Sebastian's voice was content. Together, Maya agreed. They sat under the stars, listening to the ocean, holding each other. 2 people who'd been lost had found their way home. Not to a place, but to each other. And somewhere in Sebastian's lab, Aria processed data and learned and grew, a digital consciousness that existed because one man had been brave enough to ask what it means to be alive, and wise enough to find the answer in human connection rather than artificial creation. Love isn't about perfection or control or having all the answers. It's about choosing to show up every day, even when you're scared. It's about letting someone see your broken parts and trusting they'll stay anyway. It's about building something together that neither of you could create alone. Sometimes the best things in life happen when we get completely lost, when we stumble off the path we planned and end up somewhere we never expected, when we're desperate and exhausted and we knock on a stranger's door asking for help. Because sometimes that stranger becomes your home, your partner, your reason for stepping back into the world you've been hiding from. Sebastian and Maya's story didn't end with a wedding or a baby or a successful AI launch. It continued every day in small moments. Morning coffee on the terrace. Aria's laughter echoing through the house. Difficult conversations about fear and loss and hope. Quiet evenings reading poetry aloud. Choosing each other again and again and again. That's what real love looks like. Not a fairy tale ending, but a daily practice of showing up, being honest, growing together. If this story touched your heart, hit that like button. Comment below and tell me what moment resonated with you most. Subscribe because we have more incredible stories coming that will make you believe in the power of human connection to heal even the deepest wounds. Thank you for watching. See you in the next story.